Before there were any heroes, monsters, or great empires, there was absolute chaos. Then, suddenly, everything began to change. 2,000 years ago, the Roman poet Ovid captured this cosmic evolution in his epic masterwork, the Metamorphoses. He proposed a universe governed by a single, inescapable rule. Reality is not a static museum of fixed objects. Matter and time exist in a state of flux, a chaotic river that constantly flows from one form into another. In Ovid's account, the world began when a divine architect pulled order from a dark void. Humanity entered the Iron Age, trading peace for greed, mining for gold, and waging bloody wars. Disgusted by human corruption, Jupiter, the king of the gods, decided to wipe the slate clean. He shattered the skies, releasing a torrential global flood that drowned cities, forests, and almost every living creature beneath the waves. When the waters finally receded, only two righteous humans remained, Deucalion and Pyrrha. To repopulate the earth, they were instructed to cast the stones of the earth over their shoulders. As the rocks hit the mud, they softened, stretching and molding into the flesh and bone of a new human race. Ovid's opening act makes one thing clear. Physical reality is inherently unstable. It is fluid, fragile, and entirely at the mercy of cosmic whims. We see this instability play out on a deeply intimate level in the story of Apollo and Daphne. Apollo, flush with the power of a recent victory, becomes obsessed with the mortal nymph. He chases her relentlessly through the woods, deaf to her pleas for mercy. Exhausted and terrified as the god's breath hits her neck, Daphne realizes she cannot outrun a deity. In an act of sheer desperation, she begs her father, a river god, to destroy her beauty to save her autonomy. Instantly, her limbs stiffen. A thick, protective rind of bark envelops her chest. Her hair sprouts into leaves, and her feet root deep into the soil. She escapes Apollo, but the cost is her own humanity. Transformation in this world functions as a brutal, necessary mechanism of escape from unbearable power. The leaves of Daphne's new branches catch the light, leading us to the blazing sun, and to a young man named Phaethon. Desperate to prove that he is the legitimate son of the sun god, Phaethon demands a dangerous privilege. He insists on driving his father's solar chariot across the sky for a single day. But his mortal arms are too weak to control the fire-breathing horses. They veer wildly off course, dragging the sun dangerously close to the earth, boiling rivers and scorching entire mountain ranges into ash. Phaethon is struck down by Jupiter to save the planet, but the damage is done. Unearned power and mortal pride forced the physical world to burn and violently reform. The smoke from that scorched earth settles, condensing into the delicate threads of a loom. We meet Arachne, a mortal weaver whose talent is so flawless, she dares to challenge Minerva, goddess of wisdom and crafts, to a weaving contest. Arachne weaves a tapestry depicting the crimes and deceptions of the gods, and it is entirely perfect. Minerva finds not a single flaw in the work. Driven by sheer, spiteful jealousy, the goddess tears the tapestry to shreds and strikes the mortal girl. Pushed to despair, Arachne attempts to hang herself, but Minerva intervenes, shrinking Arachne's body, dissolving her nose and ears, and transforming her into a spider, condemned to weave in the dusty shadows forever. When mortal talent challenges divine supremacy, the gods don't argue, they alter reality. Transformation acts as a permanent punitive demotion to forcefully restore the hierarchy. That spiderweb dissolves into the ripples of a clear forest pool, bringing us to a different kind of collision, the internal mind. Narcissus is a young man who rejects the outside world entirely, including the cursed nymph Echo. Catching his own reflection in a pool, he falls into a fatal obsession. Unable to tear himself away from the image, he refuses food and water. He simply wastes away on the riverbank until his body dissolves, leaving behind only the white and yellow petals of a flower. Absolute self-obsession and isolation, force of physical devolution. Narcissus rejects human connection, so the universe strips away his human form. But the petals of that flower hardened, turning into smooth white marble. We find the sculptor Pygmalion in his studio. Unlike Narcissus, Pygmalion is driven by warm devotion. He carves a statue of a woman so perfect that he falls deeply in love with his own creation. He prays to Venus for a bride just like his sculpture. When he returns home and touches the stone, it softens under his fingers. The cold marble flushes with warmth. A pulse beats beneath the wrists, and the statue awakens as a living, breathing woman. Pygmalion represents a departure from the earlier tragedies. Change is not always a curse here. It is the miraculous manifestation of imagination and pure love. That warm, living skin pales, drawing us down into the cold shadows of the underworld. We meet Orpheus, a musician grieving the sudden death of his wife, Eurydice. Orpheus descends into hell and plays a song of such agonizing sorrow that it temporarily halts the cold machinery of death. The Furies weep, and the rulers of the dead agree to return Eurydice to the world of the living. There is only one condition. Orpheus must walk ahead of her toward the surface and trust that she is behind him. He cannot look back. But just as the light of the upper world touches his face, doubt overcomes him. He turns around. Instantly, Eurydice suffers a reverse transformation. She slips through his grasping arms, her physical form dissolving back into an empty phantom, lost to him forever. Art and love possess incredible power. They can move the gods and bend the rules of the universe, but they cannot permanently reverse the ultimate inevitable law of loss and change. The final notes of Orpheus's lyre drift upward, dissolving into a starry night sky. The law of transformation did not stop with mythology. Ovid understood that it governs all of human history. He watched the Roman Republic morph into an empire. But Ovid knew that even Rome, with all its bronze and marble, was just another temporary form in the great river of time. It too would eventually decay. Physical bodies fail. Stone empires crumble, but Ovid arrived at an ultimate realization. Poetry and art are immune to the destruction of time. Ideas survive the flux. In Ovid's world, nothing stays unchanged. Not bodies, relationships, cities, or empires. Only the stories continue transforming every generation that tells them. Would eternal stability be comforting? Or would a world without change become lifeless?